Welcome into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Buzz Cutler. Bassmasters is on the end, and in the middle, Bryan White, jackman for the number 2 Penske Dodge, driven by Brad Keselowski. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
It's been a wild ride, dude. You guys are on fire this year.
Let's start with last year, right? The team doesn't get a single-digit finish.
Yes.
This year, you're in the chase, vying for the championship. Could you just contrast and just sort of take us on that journey, last year to this year?
It is. It's been a trying time, to say the least, and we have a tight team. A lot of the guys on the team have been together for 4 or 5 years. Last year was tough. It was Brad's first year, and the thing that's really different about NASCAR for these drivers, from what I've experienced, is that it's not like another sport where you have court time, or you have. You're used to the same field or whatever, because all the fields or playing fields are the same.
Right, the tracks are different, right.
Tracks are different, and you just don't get practice time. It's not just something that's given to you. So Brad's going to go up against a lot of guys who have been on these tracks 15, 20, 30 times in their career, and it's just a different playing field.
He doesn't know what he's looking for.
He doesn't. He has the 2 days before a race to get his practice in, get a feel for the car. But then you're out there with other guys. I mean, this is a normal Sunday to them, and they know Talladega, Charlotte, Vegas. They know these tracks. Brad, in a lot of ways, didn't have the 5, 10, 15 years of experience.
So is it just that he needed that time to catch up and to get to know the tracks, or was there a breakthrough that you guys experienced?
I think it was a combination of both. I think a lot of it is driver confidence in the car. And, last year we had a different crew chief, as well as Brad seeing the tracks for the first time. This year he's having his second or third time at the track, and he's got a strong relationship with our crew chief, Paul Wolf. And I think what the huge part about this year is that when Brad is describing issues he's having with the car, whether it's tight or loose, Paul understands it. Paul has that year last year in the Nationwide Series to really have a true understanding of what the problems are. And so the communication is just phenomenal right now.
That's interesting, because I think we've talked about Paul Wolf and Brad Keselowski as being just the way they're able to get finishes and work on the car. A lot of times it reminds you of the classic driver-crew chief combo, the Robbie Reiser, Matt Kenseth, the Tony Stewart, Greg Zipadelli, the Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson. It kind of seems to have that feel. Yeah.
And I think that's the great examples. I mean, they truly understand each other. And I think the other thing is patience. And I think something that's not talked about a lot, and this is outside looking in for me, it's just driver patience on the track throughout the race. And, with Brad being as hungry as he is and as competitor as he is, learning that driver patience throughout a race.
Because they're long races, man.
They're long races, 400 to 600 mile races. And you don't win the race on lap 5 or lap 15. You're winning the race, and a lot of times at the end of the race. And so being able to put yourself in that position at the end of the race is huge.
And talk about the pressure aspect of this now, because one thing that's interesting about Brad, and I don't know if it's true for the rest of the team, but without the expectations heaped on you guys at the beginning of the year, there's been a feeling, and he's even said, hey, man, it's all gravy. But, there's 4 races to go. Every race, every pit stop is important. You guys are in the mix for this championship. I mean, you have a legitimate shot to win it. So how is the pressure? Has that changed for you?
I'd be lying to say it hasn't, but the reality is you have to trust in your stuff. And I think this goes back, if you look at a lot of guys on our pit crew, a lot of them are ex-college athletes. They understand pressure. They understand believing in themselves and their athletic ability. And, even though the 7 stops you might have in a race coming up are very important. The next, call it 28 pit stops of this year are hugely important.
Right.
Reality is they're no different than the first pit stop in Daytona. And that's how you got to treat it. You treat it like any other stop. You trust in what you have, you trust in your stuff, and you go out there and perform like you're running 30th place or first place.
I want to ask you one other question about attitude, because I remember talking to you before the Bristol Night race in August, a race that you guys actually ended up winning, though this was a
thanks
free race.
to us and the tips that we gave you that day.
But you said something along the lines, and I've heard Brad sort of repeat this, maybe not directly, but you said something along the lines that he doesn't have to prove anymore that he belongs here. He knows, and everybody else knows he belongs
He's
here.
legit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's huge. I mean, I think that's a big step on both sides, whether it's the guys behind the wall that are, working in the pits as well as the driver. Sometimes you can get used to running in 30th place or 35th place. And you see a lot of these guys, whether it's a driver or a pit crew, all of a sudden you're in first through fifth place, and you're treating it like it's a different day, a different stop, a different lap. And it's not. You got to treat it like it's the same thing you've been doing. I think that's where you can get caught up, whether you're a driver, pit crew, crew chief, the guys that work on the car. I mean, I think you got to truly believe in that it's not by luck that you're there. It's by experience. It's by your ability, and believe in that ability.
I got to ask you one more question before we let you go on this, and that is the relationship between the guys on the crew and the driver, wanting to win for not just your driver, but that particular guy, for Brad specifically, knowing him and wanting to perform for him, because he's the guy that gets all the glory, right?
He does. But he does a great job of passing that glory down. If you look at any one of his interviews after a win or after a loss or whatnot, it's always we. It's never pointing the finger. The only time he'll ever point a finger is if we do bad and he blames it on himself, which is just, it talks a lot about his character. When you have a driver like that, I mean, the driver's a lot like the quarterback of the team in football. He's going to get the glory, but the linemen believe in him. It's the same thing on a pit crew. Is we know that he has our back and we have his back, and having that true belief helps you because you know that you don't have that fear of failure. You don't have that fear of having a bad pit stop and the driver not believing you. You know that belief's been there from the start, which is key.
Absolutely.
All right. Bryan White, Jackman for the Miller. Do you say Jackman or Jackman? Like Hugh Jackman?
Jackman?
Could Hugh Jackman be a Jackman?
What is this, United Kingdom?
Well, it's Hugh Jackman. Anyway.
Hugh Jackman's a stud.
He's Bryan White, not Hugh. I'm more like Hugh Jackman than for the Miller Lite Dodge Penske Racing. We got lots more videos with Bryan coming up, so keep an eye out for him.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.